बोले सोने हाल सासरी अकाल।
Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to Encounters here on Akaal channel again. This week we're talking to a councillor. His name is Rupinder Singh from Coventry. He is not only a councillor, he's on the board of the Coventry Refugee and Migrant Centre. What they do is they look after the migrants and the refugees that Coventry takes in. You might be wondering why we're talking to the guy from Coventry. We're talking to him from Coventry because Coventry is the local authority that has taken in more refugees and more migrants than any other local authority in the UK. Therefore, anything you're hearing in the media, anything you're being fed with myths about migrants and immigrants, that should be, the sharp end of that should be in Coventry. So to find out what's going on nationally, we're going to go on a micro level and talk about Coventry. So Paji, without further ado, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Rupinder Singh, thank you.
So your local authority, of which you're a councillor, has taken in more migrants and immigrants and refugees, not immigrants, but more migrants and refugees than any other local authority in the country.
That's correct. Just a little correction that we have taken more refugees than anybody else from Syria.
Right.
Because Syrian refugees, which we have taken, have particularly more complex medical needs, and so that makes it more kind of tricky for people who take them on board to support them, and we did put the mechanism in place by
so you took on more medical refugees also?
People with the more complex needs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you knew that these guys are going to be more work than the average refugee?
That's correct. And
deliberately went out of your way to take them?
Yeah, that's correct.
Would that be because this is the city of peace and reconciliation?
Yes, I think that is...
Because that does run through the blood of Coventry.
I think that is a fair statement, because we are a city of peace and reconciliation, and we always been a city of sanctuary.
Yeah.
And that come naturally to Coventry people, and it was natural for us to do it. I was not in the council that time, but people who were there, my colleagues basically, and the officers sat together and made this decision that they are going to support this initiative, and they've been on the front end of it from 2014 regarding the Syrian refugees. Yeah,
so with such a large influx of sort of migrants and refugees in particular, we're seeing sort of national papers and national media sort of almost whipping up a frenzy, particularly before the Brexit vote. And we're seeing the results of that frenzy post the Brexit result, of crime waves and rise in sexual assaults. Is Coventry seeing that?
No, I don't think that is our experience. And before I came to this show, I did my research to see if there is any reliable data available, even in the places where people are saying that. And I was not able to find any particularly reliable data. There is a lot of figures mentioned in the media, but I was not able to get a figure from some neutral place where I could confidently say that this is something which we can say does exist. And that is the honest truth. Basically, we don't have that experience in Coventry. And our experience is the migrants who are coming, and they are trying to build their life. We are trying to help them, and a lot of them have a lot of skills. People have a lot to offer as well, and obviously people with their complex medical needs, they need our help, and we are trying to get them back into society as a productive member of the society. And that is our experience, and we don't I can't see where those kind of news are coming. That's not Coventry's experience.
You see groups like Britain First and the EDL on social media. They share videos of Syrians attacking women, attacking men, claiming that they are going to create Sharia law up and down the country. But all of those videos are predominantly from Europe. But yet they are able to sort of create an atmosphere within the UK that this is happening here also. How is that possible?
Okay, I don't know where they're making these videos from. I will not know, and we can only speak from our own experiences,
Yeah.
what we know, and we should only speak from some reliable information, data which we have. And I think for large chunk of the people who are coming from Syria or other places where there's a conflict, all they want is a place where they feel safe and they can rebuild their life. People are people. They are just like people like you and me. And most people want the same thing. They want to better themselves. They want to rebuild their life. They want better future for their children. They want secure jobs. They want secure home. They want to flourish wherever they go. And so, looking at the kind of our experience within Coventry, or the things we know from reliable people, reliable resources, I don't see that. Where these news people are making up and showing up, I have no idea, and I wouldn't like to say any either way.
It would be only speculation.
Yeah, that's it.
It's not visible, and it's not in police records and crime statistics. It's just not there.
No, our experience is not that. We have a very good relationship with the immigrant community, which are Syrians are the more kind of in news. And when you meet them, these are just people like you and me. You know, you would not know if they are any other kind. They are just people like you and me who had a simple kind of good lives in their country, and all of a sudden this crisis comes up and they are kind of in a place where they don't feel safe. And being human, the first initiative they take is to secure their lives, and they will run wherever they can to make sure they are safe, the children are safe, and they can build their life as you and me would like.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the honest truth. And these are people who was like normal people, like surgeons or doctors or chefs or road engineers or bus drivers. They're just like normal people, you know.
Is that the kind of people that are here?
Yeah, that's the kind of people we have in Coventry. We have our chefs, we have our businessmen, we have our solicitors who have come from Syria.
And they've lost everything.
They lost everything. And our experience is that when you speak to them, you wouldn't know any different, that they are any different kind of people. They're just people you meet every single day in your family, in your home, and that's our experience.
What is their experience of Coventry, of the UK, of the media? Have you ever?
I think Coventry is a very welcoming place, and I think not just by the council or the political class, but I think that even the people of Coventry are good people, and I'm assuming they're like anywhere else. And refugees who are coming to Coventry feel that warmness in the city, and they feel that it is a place where they can rebuild their life. It is a place where they can see their children's future being flourishing. It is a place where they see a kind of a sense of security, and it's a place where they can, you know, offer the contribution they have to afford. Don't forget, they have also a lot to offer to people. They are the people, you know, who have a skills, and they have a dedication, and they're hard-working people. You know, they want to work, providing you there is an opportunity for them, and they do want to work. They do want to contribute, and they're just like any ordinary other Coventarian who want to enjoy living in the city, and they want to do the same.
So there's no extra strain on the NHS in Coventry. There's no extra strain on the schooling systems.
Look, the NHS is a fantastic institution, and when you take somebody who have a complex medical needs, of course you will have some services are going to be required by them, but that is nothing kind of comparative to what NHS is. NHS is gigantic.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Services.
So it's not a strain, it's not an extra strain, it's not something
No,
that's
I
gonna-
wouldn't say that. I won't say that in that sense that it should deter us from doing something right. So I don't think in that context I don't see that way.
So GP services, NHS services, not at all should be, it shouldn't be a factor whether we take in refugees or not.
Some services are stressed because we have not invested in them for
Yeah.
a very long time, or there are some, shortage of particular skill type of work, and that is there. But to say just because we have taken 3,000 Syrians, that is causing the backlog in NHS or anything like that, that would be really irresponsible and childish kind of thing to say. So that is not true. Yeah, I won't say that.
So why do we see that in the media? Where does that stem from?
I think that most of the media space regarding the issue of refugees or migrant has been taken by the right wing, and left wing or progressive side of the argument is diminished in space, and that is a part of the reason is that I'm here to talk about this. And also doesn't help is that we have this new social media where we have Twitterization of really complex and
Well, the
issues,
Britain's first videos.
yeah,
I mean, they're propaganda videos.
That kind of videos, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a very complex issue. Get on the social media space, which is, by the way, it's a good thing, social media, but it's not a good place to debate something really complex
Yeah.
and really lengthy. So those things need to be discussed in a mature way, in a time frame which does the justice to the subject. What these short movies or short Twitterization of things does is create a kind of a wrong image, which may be appealing to a section of society, and it's easy to see why it can be, but it is far away from the truth, and that is sad, and that is the part of the problem is that when you don't put effort, so you don't put time into trying to learn something such complex as a human misery, you are going to end up with a very, very wrong analysis. So my advice is, if you are interested in any particular thing of this kind, spend some time and learn it and get the facts right, and get the reliable data, and then you
But these
can
people
come
don't
to
want to research it. They don't want to know the truth.
True.
They're
True.
looking for the simplest answer
Yeah.
to their personal problem,
Yeah.
and that's always going to be the other.
Yeah, when you want to blame somebody and you don't want to analyze your
Yeah.
own kind of reasons why you have a particular issue, and you can blame somebody for your ills, that is probably much easier, and is being lazy in your kind of quest to find that truth. And it is detrimental to kind of our values, and we need to basically get better at articulating these complex issues in a way people understand, or we need to alert people.
How do we do that? What's missing now that we need to get better at?
We need to have more discussions like this, and we need to say to people that if they have something to say which is contrary to what I am saying, we need to get into a place where we have these conversations in a meaningful way, rather than on a social media or Twitterization of these things, and which
what do you
does
say
not
to
do any
those
justice.
people who say letting all these Syrians in will speed up the Islamification of the UK?
That is that makes me kind of laugh. Is just light years away from the real truth. Syrians, you come to know, is that they are just people like you and me. They don't have any particular kind of a desire to live under any those kind of environment which people think they want to bring it here. They don't do it in their own country. Why would they want to bring it here? So, here is a fairly kind of modern country.
There was a suggestion that the Syrian refugees that are arriving are not actually refugees. They are sleeper cells and undercover ISIS members, and that they will arrive here, they will ostensibly look like refugees, they will behave like refugees until a particular time.
Well, that can be said about anybody. That can be said about any particular group of people coming in. That could be said about a tourist coming to England or anybody. If that is the kind of conversation which people fear, then that is not something which you can disprove in either way. If somebody says they're going to hide like that, behave like that, that can be said about anything. But what is our experience on the ground? Our experience on the ground is most people who come to seek asylum, and they are genuinely running away from a very awful kind of environment. And they're running for their life, and wherever they can find a sanctuary, they find a sanctuary. And if when they come, they want to have a same kind of life as you and me want. They want to get on with their rebuilding in a new place. They want best for their children. They want best for themselves, and they want to contribute. That is my experience when we speak to people who we support in Coventry, and I don't see them any different to what my family look like. They're just people like that. They have the same kind of laugh and cries as we do. Yeah?
You're a migrant.
Yeah, I am a migrant. Yes,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah.
So you've come to the UK.
Yes.
You've worked.
Yeah.
You've contributed.
Yes.
You've paid your taxes.
Yeah.
You've educated yourself.
Yes.
You're a councillor. You're giving back to the community
Absolutely.
that you'd already paid your dues as an employee anyway. So you're suggesting that why shouldn't anyone else be given the same opportunity?
Why wouldn't anybody want to do it? It's easy to have a fear of something unknown, but then don't have that kind of excuse that I don't know. If you are worried about something, go and find out. If something is unknown, go and know. What they're really like.
Well, what if they do go to the Britain First website and say, well, now I do know?
Well, I would not recommend anybody to go on Britain First site to go and look for facts. I would say if you want to look for the facts, go to United Nations site, and have a look at there. Go to business office of.
Is Britain full? That's what we hear.
No.
Is
No.
Britain full?
No.
So we have the capacity to take more people in.
We are a fantastic country. We have a big heart. Our people are fantastically kind and compassionate, and we have always supported the people who run away from persecution and awful tragedies and wars, and we will carry on doing that. And no, we are not. We are a great country with a great heart, and that's my experience.
And we can easily take more people in.
Yes, of course.
And the NHS will be able to stand the strain of that.
Of course, most of the people who work in supporting refugees environment, you can see they come from all walks of life, all different races, languages, and they support equally well, all of them. So I don't see any kind of issue where somebody says, no, we are full. That is not Britain. Britain is always been on the front end of going and supporting people when there is a requirement. And this our experience of is that we have a in Coventry especially, we have a history of taking people in, supporting them, rebuilding ourselves, rebuilding their lives, and it's all kind of part and parcel of who we are. So I would say that is our experience. What EDL or Britain First suggests, that is not our experience.
Okay. We've got to go to a short break.
Okay.
We're going to stay with our experiences.
Yes.
In the second half, we'll talk about the EDL Britain First, other perceived threats because of immigration that the Sikh community may well face as being one of the most identifiable
Yes.
minorities in the UK. So join us after the break. We'll continue this conversation and go in a little bit more in depth to what immigration and Syrian refugees mean to the Sikh community in the UK. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa. Thank you.
बोले सोने हाल सासरी अकाल
पूरा एड़ा इरी ससाहा कक्का खक्का गक्का कक्का नन्ना पूरा एड़ा इरी ससाहा कक्का खक्का गक्का कक्का नन्ना चचा 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 नन्ना एगा खक्का गक्का गक्का नाना चचा 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 नन्ना एगा खक्का गक्का गक्का नाना पूरा एड़ा इरी ससाहा
बोले सोने हाल सासरी अकाल
Welcome back to Encounters here on Akaal channel. We're still with Councillor Rupinder Singh. He is one of the board members of the Coventry Refugee and Migrant Centre. And we're discussing Britain's capacity to absorb migration and refugees in particular from Syria, and the possible strains it could have had on the NHS, which Councillor Saab is of the opinion that the NHS is more than able and has absorbed any stresses and pressures that migration or refugee intake was going to have, and so is the schools. So the question remains, with British right-wing elements and the media in particular playing on a migrant refugee crisis, so to speak, it has riled up people to a point where we're seeing that it's not just the refugee crisis that's doing this, it's also post-Brexit and in the entire referendum campaign, which was borderline xenophobic, if not outright, with billboards of Nigel Farage
Yes.
saying we're full
Yes.
and stuff like that. So with that sort of ethos up and down the country being fueled by right-wing elements, both in the media and in our societies, Baji, the migrant crisis hasn't stretched us to the limit by any means. Not
No.
by resources, not by a long shot.
Yeah.
Is the Sikh community or any minority community seeing an upsurge in your area of levels of threat or even levels of violence as a result of xenophobic actions?
In Coventry, we have been fairly lucky, but we are hearing that there is a kind of sense of people big unease and also some attacks going in high in numbers, because there is some people who feel that, whatever they feel, that the migrants are some kind of issue or something. But in Coventry, I will have to say we have been fairly okay, and yes, when people or irresponsibly, flame wrong kind of information, it can have an effect on people, and that is not wise to do. And I hope our leader, whichever party or whichever thinking they come from, use the language responsibly. And if they want to discuss something, they should discuss it with the facts and figures, and not on hearsay.
Or big billboards to say we're full.
That was a tactic used by UKIP to inflame the kind of situation in their favour, that they wanted to.
Did you vote for
that
Brexit?
No.
You vote to remain?
Absolutely, yes.
I mean, it sounds obvious of everything you've said today.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's a.
But is when you see the government through the Sea Council UK release £2.4 million for temples and places of worship to up their security, do they know something we don't?
I think there is some sense of that it need doing, because there are areas where it has accelerated. In the last couple of days ago, there was some Polish lad and a Sikh lad was
in Stroud
injured in this kind of attack, and that generate a kind of uneasiness within the community, and kind of sense of that something has to be done. So government is right in a sense that if something can be done to make things more secure, yes, why not? It's better to take precautions than not to.
Yeah.
If there is a sense of, if people are sensing it, or they are advised by their local police or community that this need doing, then surely yes. But I'm saying in Coventry we've been lucky so far.
Yeah, there's not been any incident of that kind.
No.
But I think the most high-profile incident in Europe, I mean, obviously in India, we see incidences of Biyadabi directly to Sri Guru Granth Sahib, and angs being torn and stuff like that. That has more of a political motive.
That's correct.
Not that anybody's ever been caught, so we don't actually know. Even that's speculation.
Yes.
But outside of India, America, obviously we have Wisconsin and the shooting at the Gurdwara there. We also have the bomb attack or firebomb attack in Germany.
That's correct,
at the Gurdwara there. Obviously we have the individuals that are attacked in America by car and by firearm.
Yes.
In the UK we have a couple where we have a Sikh attempted to be beheaded in Wales, and things like that. Being the fact that we are so identifiably foreign, even though we're British. I'm British. I'm born and bred in Britain. You're British by naturalisation. So although we are British, we are still the most identifiable other. And what can we do to safeguard ourselves whilst maintaining British values?
Well, I would say, just like anybody else would like to safeguard themselves, we should use the same kind of thing. If you come across something which you think is inappropriate, report it, and be vigilant about it. But I wouldn't like to alarm people that they need to do some kind of thing to protect themselves. I don't think we are anywhere near that. But if somebody feel that they are in an environment where they are being uneasy about some circumstances, then of course seek the advice from your local authority, your local police, or report. If there is a hate crime, do report it. Many times people don't report hate crime because for n number of reasons. But if there is a hate crime, then please do report and encourage others to do so if they are a victim of a hate crime, and take kind of a sensible, common sense approach. That if your instinct feels something is not right, probably is not right. Yeah. So don't be hesitant to say it, but don't be over alarmed by it. That's the I don't want to give that impression.
Let me put to you a different perspective.
Yeah.
Is the best way to protect ourselves by integrating ourselves more into the community? And I mean in a sense that not only would it be safety in numbers, but I mean by embracing those who are new to the UK as well. So say the Syrians that are being marginalised because they are considered the newcomers and the strain on the system, and taking up resources that should be here for the indigenous population. Is there no initiative that the government, local or otherwise, should be encouraging that creates community cohesion between old and new communities?
Yes, we do that in Coventry.
What do you do?
We do. There's a place where we have all the migrants join the host community, and they design their own kind of garden and have a gathering together. And then we had a Syrian dinner last year where everybody was invited to come and join, and those kind of initiative goes on. And we have a summer, almost like a summer fair, where people come and meet different communities. Those kind of things goes on. I think and we should do more if possible. And I don't think there is any kind of twist in it to take the law and order, but I think I agree on the basis of that we should have a better relationship with each other. Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
And that
no law and order reason.
Yeah.
Simply to be a more vibrant society.
Absolutely.
I mean,
absolutely.
We should be embracing all the different aspects of our population. No?
Yes, definitely, most certainly. I think
what can local government do to promote that?
We do.
Yeah,
this.
we've got the gardening.
Yeah. No, we got this Coventry Refugee and Migrant Centre. We don't just look after the refugees. It also support migrant people who are here and for any reason, and they have a specific kind of challenges and needs, and which our centre is tuned to do those things. And they help them so the migrants or refugees can live their life to the full potential. And that is the kind of approach Coventry has taken. That we have gone kind of wholeheartedly to support people, not just refugees who are coming in, but also the migrant community. Because refugees is just a small section of the big migrant community. And people, if there is a need for them to get support, then we have a mechanisms kind of which they can go and get the help. And other kind of initiative where you mix with wider community, there's a lot goes on. You only have to look at you check your cultural things going on in any place. You will see a lot of collaboration in music or drama is going on. Schools do a lot of stuff where they celebrate other cultures, and that's always a good thing, because
how do you engage that section of community that chooses to isolate itself and looks at the other as the other?
My approach would be, if there is,
because we know there's large sections of society whose children will come home and say, today we celebrated Diwali, or today we learnt about Eid, and the parent will say, what for? This is England. Oh, so they're teaching you Eid at school now?
I,
Oh, so they're teaching you Diwali at school now?
I,
How do we engage those people
okay.
to become part of a vibrant society rather than hark back to some long gone era where everything was sunnier and the sky was always bluer and the ice cream never melted?
Personally speaking, I think most of the people I meet or engage, they are fantastically kind of open to any kind of experience where they come to learn something new, they engage with new people, or have a sense of solidarity and community within Coventry. I'm not dissing that there are not people who like to isolate themselves. I don't know them, but
Yeah.
I'm sure
But
there
they
could be.
exist.
There could be. There could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
They
know.
themselves may
Right,
well
yeah.
be marginalized.
Yeah, yeah, of course. And our kind of approach should be that if we come to know a particular section of society, I would personally go and speak to them. I will personally go and say, how can we help? How can we help? What are your kind of concerns? Let's come and kind of have a openness and frankness about things and what
Yeah.
you think what your uncertainty or fears are, and let's deal with them in a sense that not to label you that you are kind of isolating yourself, but in a sense of that to be a part of bigger society, we need to be right into it. If somebody is not kind of engaging with the community, that is not good for anybody. It's not good for the person who is doing it or the group who is doing it, but it's also not good for us, for the large community as well, because we are missing out on their contribution. So we don't want a section of society not firing on all cylinders. We want everybody to fire on all cylinders. If we want to be, bring the all potential of humanity out, we need to be kind of fostering that kind of atmosphere. If we find out there is a particular section which doesn't do that, we should go out of our way to make sure that doesn't happen. But my experience, I have not come across that community yet. But if I do, then I would certainly go out of my way.
Yeah, it makes sense. Post Brexit, if we're going to lose a lot of our primary trading bloc, then it would seem sensible to unite as a country. We have Brexit now. It's not something that we're going to be reversing anytime soon by the looks of things. So with that in mind, it would be sensible for all sections of the UK to be offered a olive branch because like we say, those people and those communities have been marginalised in the past. They are working class communities that have not seen the investment in their communities that the other communities do see. The blame for that primarily they use because they've been told that by the right-wing media and by groups like Britain's First. But these people prey on these people, those people. So when they blame the other, it's not the other's fault that they are marginalised. Because they're blaming another marginalised section of community, of society. So how does the local community, local government and central government, how does it go about making a cohesive society where everybody feels that they offer value to the society at large?
I always, as I said earlier, my view is that is you have to go and talk to people, and if somebody say we are in a kind of worse economic state because the immigrants are here or refugees are here, I always give example that the height of the British Empire, the toll puddle incident was happening. Working class people was
the Winston
treated.
Churchill one?
Toll puddle. It happened in 1730s.
Yeah.
And that time the British Empire was on the rise, kind of thing. But the working class people's life was not very good.
Yeah.
They was kind of, reduced to live in a very
Indeed.
terrible
Yeah.
state, yeah. And just because they was asking for almost living wage that time,
Yeah.
they was kind of sent to Australia because they was making agitation. So my appeal to always is that don't start blaming, immigrants. Think how the system work and what we can do together, yeah. If you think your interests are not met, come out, let's have a discussion, and we shall put kind of effort to make whatever is required to give the equal chances to those individuals who think they've been left out. And yes, there can be a section which can feel left out, but the idea is not to find the easy escape route and blame somebody, and that doesn't solve anything. If you blame somebody, that is not going to solve your life.
But they
what,
do.
What we need is
Media does.
Yeah, media does, but that does not change somebody's life. That what changes somebody's life is effort and policies and strategies to solve their problems. That's all the issue. Just by mere blaming somebody that these are the people who took my kind of share, that is still not going to solve their problem. So the idea is to get into a place where seek your kind of rights in the way it's your right. So ask for it, and or raise the awareness among people who can make a difference, or you think they are not making a difference for yourself. Then go and use your democratic right. Come and ask difficult questions. In councils, we have scrutiny sessions where we often advise people to come and ask difficult questions, and very rarely people take that opportunity. So if some section of society feel that they are not getting heard, take that opportunity, and go and make a kind of yourself heard. That would be my advice. But engage with the people,
Yeah.
come and talk to. Also talk to people who in your area are responsible for making different decisions. So please speak to them. That would be my advice.
The solution again, we've had this in the series already. So the solution again is conversation.
Conversation, yes, definitely. Yeah, it does not serve.
I've took that opportunity.
Yeah,
I've asked you some hard
yeah,
questions.
it doesn't. Yeah, it does not serve anybody any kind of purpose in life to blame somebody and don't move.
And let it fester.
Let it fester. Yeah.
Teach it to your children.
Yeah, so
They
go,
teach it to their children.
Exactly. So you need to change things, and if things are not changing, use your rights. You do have rights. In this country, you're blessed that you can go and ask difficult questions and use those rights wherever you are, and you'll be delighted to see. We'll be delighted to see that somebody come and say, "This is my kind of aspiration, and this is what I think you are doing wrong." So it gives you kind of idea of
Watch
if people
democracy in
feel.
action.
Yeah, sorry.
To see democracy in action.
Exactly. Democracy is only good if it's a functioning democracy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just electing people is not a democracy. Democratic process have to be a functioning democracy. It should be accountable. It should be responsive. We should inform people. We should be able to have a transparent kind of debate, and that's all the things which make a democracy worthiness.
Yeah.
Otherwise, electing people just for the sake of it is not full use of the
Yeah.
democratic process. So that's my take.
Fuzzy, thank you. I appreciate you taking your time out this week and explain to us the reality between migration, what the media tells us about migration, the threat levels of that migration turning into an invasion, and there's no other person to speak to other than the person who's working for the authority that has taken in more migrants and refugees than any other local authority in the UK. And you know, that threat we've discussed, not only the threat between that community and the threat from the wider community to our community, but there's an easy solution for it all, and that is to just talk to each other like human beings rather than fester resentment and teach each other false facts that will make communities stand against communities when we should all be one homogenous community.
Absolutely.
And yeah, Paji, for that, thank you for coming in and
thank you very much for having me, and it's fantastic.
And that's all we've got time for this week. So join us again next week, another encounter, same channel, Akaal. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.